Okay, Dr. Corman, we are ready to call this meeting to order.
Okay, I'd like to call to order the March 15th meeting of the Granville Exempted Village School District Board of Education, meeting via Zoom. And please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the
of the
United
States of America,
and to the
and
and to the
republic
republic
and
for which it stands,
one nation,
nation,
under God,
under God,
indivisible.
indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
You put the agenda back up?
Yep.
All right. Before we get started, I want to introduce Todd Griffith. Brittany had a baby on Friday, so she is on maternity leave. Congratulations to her family. She had a baby girl, so it's very exciting. And Todd will be filling in for Brittany while she is on leave. So I wanted to make an introduction before we get started. So welcome, Todd. Will you please call the roll?
Dr. Cornman?
Here.
Ms. Deeds?
Here.
Mr. Miller?
Here.
Ms. Shaw?
Here.
Mr. Wolf?
Here.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
So moved.
Second.
You take the roll, please, Todd?
That
Yeah,
was
I missed-
Thomas and I
Oh, I'm
believe.
sorry. Sorry. I will repeat who makes the motion. I forget that,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry
so-
about that. I'll
yeah,
get used to it real quick.
Yeah, Mr. Miller and then Ms. Shaw.
Okay. All right.
And then take the roll, please.
Okay. Mr. Miller?
Aye.
Mrs. Shaw? Ms.
Aye.
Shaw? Ms. Deeds?
Aye.
Mr. Wolf?
Aye.
Dr. Corman?
Aye.
Thank you.
Staff reports.
Okay, so I am going to exit the screen share, and we have Andy Wildman, the director of the Granville Recreation District, and Brian Costa, our board liaison and trustee for the GRD. And they are here to give a partner report, and thank you for joining us.
All right, thank you, Superintendent Brown. Can everybody hear me? Give me a thumbs up or something. I can trick everyone that was a thumbs up for the OU Bobcats maybe or something like that. Well, thank you for allowing Brian and I a chance to talk tonight. We've got a lot of exciting things going on at the rec, and just wanted to take an opportunity to share with everybody some of the great things that are happening. So we're completing interviews for 2 new full-time positions at the rec. One of them will be a program coordinator that will be split 80% sports and 20% programs. We're in the final phases of those interviews. We started with somewhere between 30 and 35 candidates, and we're now down to our final 3. And we're going to be locking in somebody very soon. It's going to be very helpful. And, it's in terms of, and I know this is something that our schools certainly have a challenge with as well. When you've got so many great programs, so many great teams, so many great sports, it can be tough to manage those. And so we're right now managing about 3,000 registrations with 1 administrator. And so, it really can be, problematic to keep up, especially in times when it's high tide and everybody's excited to get outside and start programming again. So really excited to get that person on board. We're also hiring a full-time laborer for our maintenance department. And one of the things that we really identified with our operating levy last fall is we really want to improve what we do from a maintenance standpoint. So I'm really excited about getting those 2 folks on board and, really starting to streamline some of the things that we put into place. From a capital perspective, we've got 3 projects going on in 2021 that are, really large and we're really excited about. My favorite of them, not that they're all not my favorite, but my favorite, if I had a favorite, would be the Rotary Pavilion, which is a partnership that we're working on with the Granville Rotary Club, where they donated $100,000 towards the construction of a pavilion, concession stand, and public restrooms at Raccoon Valley Park. We are in the final stages of the septic system design. And after that, we will begin soliciting quotes. And we hope to break ground on that project this coming fall. In the fall also, we hope to do some paving. We're working with Granville Township on trying to stretch our resources and hopefully save some money if we hopefully can combine our bid with the township or the village. And we're going to be paving Raccoon Valley Park as well as paving Wildwood Park. Both of those paving jobs will include sidewalks, and there will also be a walking path at Raccoon Valley Park. And then last, but certainly equally as important, is our maintenance facility project that we're working on that's going to be at Raccoon Valley Park. We've reached a situation where, our maintenance guys do a fantastic job, but they spend a lot of time just moving equipment out of the way to get other equipment out to do maintenance. And it makes it really difficult for them in terms of, what we're trying to accomplish on a daily basis. And then also having room to actually work on something. If we're doing work on our mowers or our tractors or any of those pieces of equipment. And so we hope to break ground late summer or early fall on a new maintenance facility that will be at Raccoon Valley Park next to the existing one. The existing one will then become a program supply facility. We really don't have a great place to keep all our program supplies, whether it's supplies for bingo or arts and crafts or day camps or sports or any of those things. We have rented as many as 3 storage units in the past around town, but none of them are climatized, and it really kind of takes a wear and tear on the supplies and the equipment. So that the old facility will become more of a supply area and less of a maintenance area. And so looking forward to getting both of those things finished and part of our daily routine this fall as well. Any questions about some of the capital things that we're working on or the timing of them? All right. Well, so moving on to programming. So I just got a note here from the Pittsburgh Penguins. They text me all the time. Just me, special me too. And they just told me that they're going to increase attendance to 5,000 in the next couple of weeks. And so, I really kind of use that as a barometer to know what's happening in terms of programming in our state and around us. I have a friend that does some stuff with the Blue Jackets. I know they're increasing theirs as well. So it's exciting to see that hopefully we're coming out of the pandemic and getting to a place where we're going to be able to do more and more programming programs and fun stuff. Spring sport registrations are through the roof. They're as high as they have ever been. And we are really excited about that. We are, working through some of the challenges of getting those things off the ground, whether it's finishing up some of the ins and outs of things we need to do inside or getting equipment ready. Or getting all those things going. But we are looking forward to record numbers for spring, and we are really excited about all of those things. We're working on a Concert on the Greens. One of the things the Board of Trustees and our staff identified is that Concert on the Green is a program that's really a big part of the fabric of our community. And we really feel like it's important, and we want to make sure that we have it this year. So we are going to have Concert on the Greens this year. We're going to find a way to make that work. I want to thank Jeff and Tanya. They have been great enough to offer the GIS as a potential site. I'm not sure that Brindu is going to permit large events until July. And so Jeff and Tanya have offered the intermediate school as a potential site for some of our early concerts. So really excited about Concert on the Greens and what that means and people getting back outside. We have expanded and it was part of our fall operating levy expansion in terms of programming. We're going to be going from 7 concerts to 13 concerts this year. And we're going to have concerts during the week, once a month on Tuesdays, and kind of try out what the attendance is for those. The music will be geared towards a more mature crowd during the week. And then we've also added a couple concerts on the weekend. So really excited about those 13 concerts. Look out for your flyer. you're going to see something that says Tuesday Tunes. I think that's a really catchy name. I can't take credit for it. Lisa came up with that. And but really, really excited about Concert on the Greens and being outside and seeing families and community members back in our parks. Any questions for Brian and I for the rec district?
No questions, but it sounds like an exciting agenda for the spring and summer. It will be nice to be outside again, and a safe way to interact, right? Outside and distanced, and I think it's it'll finally feel like we're maybe getting on the other side of this thing. So thanks for all your hard work. Can you remind me which sports are spring sports like that will be?
Yeah, so spring sports are lacrosse, softball, baseball, soccer, and did I miss one, Brian?
Maybe
Baseball,
there's some
softball,
running club that I
soccer,
think we do in the spring. I think there's some
Okay.
running club in spring.
Yeah,
And a few other clinics, T-ball, like for
Yeah.
younger kids.
For young kids, great. Yeah, thanks. Thank you.
yeah, we have, and this is a great shout out for running club. Mrs. McDonald, who teaches, also does our running club and is fantastic. If anyone has tried to register for running club, although it's not past the deadline, we've already exceeded the number. We're just trying to work to get more volunteers so that we can meet the current COVID-19 kind of supervision to participant ratio. So if that's something that you're writing on an answer for, we appreciate your patience. And it's a great program, and we certainly thank Mrs. McDonald for her willingness to jump in on it. It's what a great lifelong sport. So but those are the big ones in the spring.
Great. Thank you.
Andy, I know that.
Yep.
Oh, go ahead, Thomas.
So in the schools, we've got the Ohio High School Athletic Association that helps us with some guidance and best practices and things like that in terms of how to reopen and how to do sports appropriately. Is there a governing organization, or where do you kind of look to for kind of appropriate guidance in, safely restarting and so forth? Or how do we collaborate on that to make sure that any resources we might have can be helpful as well? Because I know it's something on a lot of people's minds as we open back up.
Yeah, so there is not like a statewide Ohio High School Athletic Association organization. I do think that would be great if that happens someday, and I really hope that that's something that we as a state can get to at some point in time. A lot of the protocols and the procedures have been described in the governor's kind of Restart Ohio and Reopen Ohio plans, and I've from being part of that committee, I've had a great chance to kind of work on some of those and understand what they are. And so that's been certainly an honor for me to kind of be working on some of those. But a lot of the things also that have either been part of that committee or that youth sport administrators try to do is mirror as much as we can from an Ohio High School Athletic Association perspective, as far down as we can, as it makes sense. So I would say some of the things are the same and some of them are slightly different. But the place that we use as our major resource is the governor's website.
Andy, you also utilize the Parks and Recs Association as well, correct?
Yeah. That's a great point, Jeff. Yeah. So the Ohio Parks and Recreation Association is the state advocacy agency, as well as the administrators association, and that's another place where there are things posted. Most everything that has been posted through OPRA has come straight from the governor's office.
And I'll just add too, on to what Andy said. Obviously, without our partnership with you guys at the schools and working closely with Josh with all the athletic events, we've been able to cover a lot of protocols in that way too. So it's been awesome to see the work behind it go towards getting kids out for the sports and programs. So
I'm gonna.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, we finished a really successful basketball season, and we had as many kids playing basketball in our community as we have ever had in the rec. And a huge thank you needs to go out to the Board of Education, to our administrators, and to Josh and his staff, and to all the gym teachers who really make that work. 350 extra kids in the buildings at night. I mean, that's a lot of traffic. And with COVID, obviously, it's even more challenging. And so to be able to complete an entire recreation basketball season, to have our, travel teams, to have a place to practice, and then be able to play their games at the YMCA, we are extremely thankful and grateful.
So Andy, I know that I met with Tanya this morning and we talked through some of the summer availability of our spaces. And this year it might be a little bit more challenging because we have materials like the dividers and other things that we don't really know if we're going to have to continue to utilize those or not. So we'll continue to work through that conversation related to summer activity and summer use of facilities to try and maximize the benefit to the rest of the community. I also just wanted to give a shout out. I know Andy and Brian do a lot in the community, but when, Brian says that he, worked with Josh, Josh also, utilized Brian's talents to mark off seats in our new stadium, in other areas. So it definitely was a mutually beneficial relationship. So he put in a lot of sweat equity to help us out too. So we appreciate that, Brian.
Thank you. Like I said, I enjoy being part of the rec, and obviously I'm honored to be your guys' representative to be on the trustees for, these are two passions of mine for the schools and our recreation facilities. So I appreciate the opportunity to serve you guys.
I just wanted to take the opportunity to compliment the partnership, that longstanding partnership we have with the rec district and the school district. And I really appreciate how GRD was following protocols and understood our protocols as well as theirs. And I think it's a compliment both to the rec district and to Andy, serving on the governor's committee. I mean, I think that's a compliment to what a well-run organization and the qualifications that Andy had, that he was selected to serve on that. And that was helpful from a selfish perspective for our community. So I just wanted to say thanks, and I really appreciate that relationship and look forward to it growing as it sounds like it is. One question, Andy, is there going to be an expansion of any of the programs for the summer? Are you going to be able to expand those, obviously within certain protocols, not just athletic?
Yeah, we do have a new slate of programs that we kind of want to roll out.
Right.
It's really just going to be a matter of what we can do and when we can do it. In some cases, it's a supervision ratio thing, and it's what makes sense and what we have the bandwidth to do. And then in other cases, it's just kind of what we're allowed to do currently and what we're not. So we do have some new things that we want to roll out. Just a matter of time.
Great, thanks.
Hey, Andy, thank you so much for coming and presenting. Oh, sorry. What's the time frame for the paving at Raccoon Valley and Wildwood? Did you say that?
Yeah. So we're hoping that we're able to knock it out this fall when kind of the community does its general paving schedule. The only caveat to that for both of those facilities is right now our leadership team, the admin staff and the board of trustees are investigating grants. And the only caveat that would be if we feel we've got a really strong opportunity at a significant grant, we might consider delaying it for 1 year. But otherwise, I would expect both the paving project and the Raccoon Valley Rotary Pavilion, and by paving I mean Wildwood and Raccoon Valley Park, that those would happen sometime later this fall.
And also, just to add, with the paving, there'll be walking paths at RVP that will connect the fields, each of the baseball fields, to the bike path, and so on and so forth. So we're really excited about the paving project. That's, it's going to cut down on a lot of dust, and both at Wildwood and at RVP, and I think it's going to be a high traffic use facility. So.
All right. Well, We definitely thank you for participating in our board meeting tonight and appreciate our partnership and everything that you do to support the recreation and programming needs in Granville.
Great. Hey, Jeff, if you don't mind, if I could, I've got a couple of announcements, if you don't mind me shifting gears to another area that I volunteer.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. So I'm going to change hats. And one of my most favorite things in the entire world is the arts and it's music. And so I am so fortunate to get to serve the community as the president of the Granville Arts Boosters. And I have a couple quick updates about what's going on with the Arts Boosters. So last week we had a town hall meeting. And I think as everyone has struggled in the last year, it's kind of hard to get people engaged. I think we're also zoomed out. That the thought of coming home for one more Zoom meeting at night does not sound like the most fun, except this Zoom. This one is different. So we had a town hall meeting where we really just listed all the different programs and all the different job responsibilities and all the different fundraising opportunities that we have in the Granville Arts Boosters. And we're really using that as a tool to recruit kind of the next wave of volunteers. And so if you want to check that out, there is a PowerPoint. There's a deck that's on the Granville Arts Boosters page. And it's one of the third things down. If you just kind of scroll down the home page, there's a tab on there about learning about volunteer opportunities. And so we had some, we had some great attendance that night, and we really got to talk to some new people about some of the opportunities that are going to be coming up. I am so excited because it's always, I get really excited about marching band season, which comes after basketball band season. And so if OU's in the March Madness, that means marching band is right around the corner. And so just to kind of be around that and to be around all of the fantastic instructors and teachers that we have, it has just been fantastic. So really excited about that. And then just real quick from a financial standpoint, the Arts Boosters have about $45,000, a little more than that in our bank, which is about our approximate annual budget. That number is in aggregate. Some of those are in different funds, whether they're restricted funds or designated funds, I guess is probably the more appropriate terms in the sense of marching band. So it's been just a really unique year. Our normal Arts Boosters budget is about $40,000 in and about $40,000 out. Right now, I think we're looking at about $10,000 in. I'm sorry, about $12,000 in. I had to move my iPad to see that. And we're looking at about $7,000 of $5,000 of out. So, we didn't know what this year would be like in terms of all the things that we've supported in the past. We've supported, everything that we needed to support in terms of additional instruction and scholarships and some of those things. And some of those things are still coming down the pipe. I don't know if we'll be, I don't know where we'll kind of end up in terms of the end of the year, if we're going to be neutral or if we'll be a little bit down or a little bit head, but I do feel confident that we've planned appropriately and that we're going to navigate this last year in a position where we get into next year to not be in a negative spot. So I'm really proud of the work of all those great folks and all those volunteers. It takes so many people to do it. And this was a good time to mention some of those things and certainly ask if anyone has any questions about the Arts Boosters.
Thank you. It's a great update.
I've even got my OU hat on here. I'm ready for Saturday.
And this is where you leave the meeting.
This is where I go going to the session meeting.
Yes. Thank you both. We appreciate
Thank you, guys.
For the update. Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you very much.
Thank you so much for your
Thanks.
time.
Next, Dr. Corman, we have the monthly financial report, and I'm going to stop my screen share, and Todd is going to take over and go through the monthly financial report.
All right, I'll go through some of this. Jeff, I would need your assistance on some of this. Not totally
Absolutely.
caught up yet. Let's go and get started. So this is showing where it's mostly due to timing, and this slide and the next two really are telling the same story. We're up, we're ahead on our cash balance, and that's really due to property tax settlement hitting earlier than it had in prior years, which isn't atypical. Like they can hit February, March. We've even seen it later, which is pretty frustrating, but normally it's February, March, you expect it. So this year hit February. If you look year over year, you can see exactly that. You can see that our tax settlement hit in February this year. It did not hit in February last year. If you go ahead and look, we'll look a little further. There's some things that I think that due to the partial cuts, I'll show you the state revenue issue. Due to the partial cuts we had, you see there's an issue. It's not an issue. It is what it is. It's a cut from the state that also occurred from state funding, which I'm sure Brittany's been talking about for a while. If you look at prior year to date and current year to date, you see exactly the same thing. It's really that February tax settlement that made the biggest impact on our overall revenue. Do you guys have any questions for me on revenue? Jeff may have to help me. I'm still getting caught up a little bit on
Well, it's been an
finances.
interesting year as far as revenues, concerned. We had the change in state aid, and then they reversed those decisions. We've had some BWC refunds that weren't expected, and then we had the tax advance or the property tax not come last year in February. So it looks a little off, but when you take all of those things out, we're pretty much in line.
Yeah, and there's a lot going on with revenue too. As far as federal funds, I think we'll talk a little bit about that. All right. Yeah. So if you're aware, on Thursday, President Biden signed another relief bill, and that Granville could end up seeing about $840,000 more this year. And I mean, that'll probably be, I don't know the length yet. I know ESSER 2 was for this year, next year, and the following year. I imagine the 830,000 will be similar or maybe stretched out another year. But as I find out more, I'll certainly keep everyone updated. All right. So it looks like February expenditures compared to prior year. You see it shows again. All right. So this is expenditures. Do you want to talk about the complex?
Yeah. So as you know, we did an advance to the athletic fund in order to cover the expenditure of the athletic complex. And so we've been kind of adjusting our expenditure reports, kind of taking that out. But the thing that I call your attention to is the $91,000. We were able to move some of the general operating expenses that we incurred because of COVID to those ESSER 2 federal funds, which causes a reduction to, our expenditure report, but it's actually a better thing for our general revenue fund to maintain those funds in that manner. So we were able to take advantage of moving some of those expenditures into that federal status, and that way it helps our bottom line long term. And Todd mentioned that, we're going to have the ability to do some more of that as the next ESSER 3 rolls out. And, we haven't had firm confirmation on the numbers, but, all the indications are that we're going to see at least a significant allocation that can help us offset some of those expenditures that we've been incurring throughout this year in order to maintain, an online presence, 5 days in person, and all of the cleaning and layers of protection that we have in place.
Yeah, and I would also say we're probably going to see this all year, where we continue to see offsets from prior month. So, and I'm sure I don't know if you've seen it yet, because a lot of districts, we're trying to figure out how to apply it. So I'd have to look back, but we'll continue to see these from salaries and benefits for the rest of the year. So, okay, so if you look at prior year to date versus year to date, you see similar things. You're going to see athletic facility. I don't know that there's anything extra special here that you haven't heard about.
Yeah, the only other thing that I think this slide is good because, remember in July with the software conversion, we did an extra payment for health insurance. And so the extra insurance payment, the athletic transfer, our actual expenditures are down about $67,000 over prior year, which again shows that we've been able to manage, some of the expenditures going on with a lot of moving parts taking place at the same time.
Yep.
That's the general fund that's down, right? And that's partially because we have the ESSER funds, which are not part of
Correct.
right. Okay,
Correct.
Yep.
thanks.
Okay.
I think overall our philosophy is to try and protect as much of the general revenue fund as possible through, all of the sub grants that we receive from the village, the township. I mean, we tried to maximize our ability to use those dollars to offset any impact on the general revenue fund. I think the next slide takes us into our athletic complex. And so I know Brittany right now is probably watching this, probably not, but she really wanted to be able to finish the final payment of the athletic project and put a nice bow on that prior to her, having her child and staying at home for a little bit. But I'm happy to report that we did receive the final bill. We are in the process of making that payment. So I'm going to talk to you about the total cost of the project. So we have received all of the invoicing at this time. The total cost was $4,500,054. That is about a $261,000 savings from the overall budget for the project, including contingencies and allocations. One of the things that we did with this project was it was a public-private partnership. And that public-private partnership was designed to, have the entire community invested in this process, including the Board of Education and the private donors. And so I'm very happy to report that we got as close as possible to the 50-50 split. We are 50.6 and 49.4 through the final billing, which again is a tremendous feat of not only Robertson Construction working on, divvying out the bills accurately and transparently and reporting every single month progress on this partnership. We are, obviously, we still have the boosters that have an obligation to pay us back for our advance. And we're going to talk a little bit about that, but there's very good news on that front as well. So, but that public-private partnership, I think is a model for, how to accomplish things in a way that is in the best interest of our taxpayers and shows a level of commitment to the community to certain projects. So I'm very, very pleased with the work that was done by, Matt Miller, Sally Heckman, all of the booster groups, art boosters, athletic boosters, Janelle Rogers, Andy Wildman, the group that helped us coordinate from Mike Yearling to Dawn Eggleston, Mike Schmidt, an amazing team that put together a lot of work. Denny Ehrman, there's people I'm forgetting, but I'm telling you, this was an excellent project for us to work on. So this is kind of the public-private partnership breakdown. And if you look, our portion from the public side, the board side, was $2,276,000. And we have a remaining balance that we will be paying out of $123,000. But again, you advanced that money already. It's sitting in the fund ready to be expended. When you look at the private side of the equation, their obligation was $2,223,000. And through donations that they've already made to us, their outstanding balance as of this time frame is $827,000. So they've already been able to pay it a significant portion of that $2.2 million. And when we talked originally, they went through a pledge process. Obviously, the Reese Foundation was able to grant us a challenge opportunity where they were challenging the district to match revenues generated by them. So they gave $1 million to the project. And in total, the board or the booster groups have pledges totaling $2,255,000. So as of right now, they have the pledges to satisfy the payback. As the money comes in, obviously we'll continue to monitor that, but it's a great win for the art and music boosters and the overall project. And by the way, we did this in a pandemic. So all of this has a little asterisk next to it that says during a pandemic. So very happy to report this information to you tonight. And then I'm sure Brittany will be very happy that she doesn't have to continue to report it in future board meetings. But as of right now, do you have any questions about the athletic complex and the allocations or anything that I've discussed with you tonight? Okay.
I just think it's a compliment to the community, to the district, and how the relationship worked. And I mean, that split is amazing to me, how it truly was a 50-50 split. And has been reported during this whole process, I think it showed what a partnership it was between the community, the boosters, and the school district. And I think it was a terrific job. And as you said, under these conditions of a pandemic, I think it's really amazing. So hats off to everyone involved with it.
Thank you. All right, now let's talk a little bit about COVID. So here you see all of the COVID funds that we've discussed previously: ESSER 1, ESSER 2, the Coronavirus Relief Fund, the Granville Township, and the Village of Granville. All of these funding sources have been utilized to try and offset some of the expenditures that we've been incurring to operate schools. The detail is on the slide now. You'll see staffing, materials, plexiglass, cleaning supplies, storage, additional custodians. All of those expenditures fall under the allowable expenses for the COVID fund utilization. They are restricted dollars. It has to be something that is related to the pandemic. We can't just take that money and offset everyone's salaries. If the salary is expended because of the pandemic specifically, then it is an allowable expense. But again, there's a criteria that we have to follow in order to expend those dollars. That will be the same situation for ESSER 3. And so we'll also go through that process of making sure that we can report accurately to the federal government how we've spent those funds. Todd, you can end it with the cash reconciliation.
Look at it. It's right there. The cash reconciliation. Man, who needs a treasurer when you have Jeff Brown there?
Well, I wanted to ease you into this process. So.
Hey, I appreciate it, because I still got to get my my feet on the ground a little bit, but no, it's good.
We want an expert crunching the numbers. Sorry, Jeff, no offense.
Yeah.
but-
Yeah, I got you there. I'll take
Yeah.
care.
No offense taken whatsoever.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's,
If you do have any questions about any of this, I can write it down, or you can email me and I can look into it. Over the next month, I'll be well more aware of like what we're doing and how things are operating. So, yep. Any other questions for me now?
I don't think
Always a great first day on the job to have a public board meeting, Welcome to Granville.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, no, Todd, thank you very much for jumping in and supporting us. I think this is another testament to a partnership and a relationship that we developed. I want to thank the Licking Heights Board of Education for allowing Todd to help us out during Brittany's maternity leave. And I like to think that we would also offer the same assistance. And honestly, we have been offering the same assistance to Heath while they're struggling with, personnel issues related to a tragic accident. So, I think Licking County is unique. We take care of each other, and this is a perfect example. So, thank you very much, Todd. We appreciate it.
Thanks. I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah. All right. So the next item is our COVID-19 report. So this is where I get to kind of give you an update related to COVID and how things are progressing within the school district. So I am very happy to report that for the past week, we have had 0 cases in the student population and staff population. So we are absolutely trending in the right direction as we go into the 4th quarter of school. And the fact that we are saying that we're getting close to the 4th quarter of school is just amazing. And it brings a smile to my face knowing that, we've been able to have the best year possible that we could have under the circumstances. And we're still trending in the right direction. We had, obviously a lot of academic success. We've had arts successes that Andy referenced, and we've had athletic successes. I mean, I know our girls are disappointed, but girls basketball team had a fantastic season. Douglas Terry just finished 2nd in the state at the weight class 152. Kudos to him. He's just been absolutely amazing through his career in Granville schools. We've had a lot of great things happening in a year where all of us were really nervous about going into the year and what to expect. The other positive, great news is that last Friday, we had our 2nd vaccine clinic at the Licking County Health Department. Again, huge partnership with Chad Brown and his staff at the Licking County Health Department. They organized our 2nd shot clinics on Friday when we were off already, which gave our staff the ability to recover over the weekend. Obviously, weekends are valuable to staff already to try and recharge. The fact that they spent it somewhat not feeling great is again a testament to our staff and their willingness to do whatever it takes to provide the high quality education that we're doing right now in Granville schools. So we had, I believe, close to 240 teachers and staff members vaccinated on that day. And then by next Friday, obviously they'll have built up the full power of that vaccine. So very good news on that front as well. Again, safety is our #1 priority. I did a presentation for Rotary today via Zoom, and I said, we always say safety is our #1 priority, but truly this year, safety was our focus. And then academics and social and emotional well-being all were a very close second. So this has been a very interesting year, but I mean, the board's leadership has been fantastic, and we're trending in the right direction. I keep saying hope is on the horizon. I hope that everyone feels that every single day that we have the ability to educate the young students in Granville. the governor has mentioned multiple times that, he is requiring or recommending that every school district submit an extended learning plan. And I mentioned this at the last board meeting, and I sent the board our plan last week. And what we have done is taken the approach of, because we have been in school and we have been, running a remote learning opportunity and an in-person opportunity, obviously there's been some adjustments there when potentially students are struggling. But really what we wanted to do was try and tap into what we typically do in the summer, which is provide summer enrichment and intervention for students that need to avoid that summer slide that sometimes we see. And so what we're going to do is we're going to use some of those ESSER funds to pay our staff to offer more opportunities for enrichment, not just in reading, but in mathematics. So again, we're using the data sets that we already have through MAP and other assessments that teachers provide, teacher feedback, in order to cast a relatively wide net to make sure that we're helping students navigate any potential learning loss that would have occurred this year. At the high school, middle school, and high school level, I would say we're always looking to make sure that our students are on track to make sure that they can obtain the credits necessary to get to graduation. And so we're using that on-track data to, again, offer opportunities for students to, fill in any gaps that were created because of this pandemic. So in general, our academic performance has been somewhat typical from previous cohorts. So again, I think that's a testament to the fact that we've been continuing to offer two options for students. And but there are some areas that I would say we want to make sure that we're casting a wide net to provide those intervention services for students. So parents will be hearing more about those opportunities, and they're going to be more targeted to students that we've identified that need a little bit of extra over the summer. The other thing that I would like to, as well as mention the academic side, mention the social emotional learning side of the equation. Obviously part of the difficulty of being in a pandemic and some of our students not being able to join us for a variety of different reasons in person is some of that isolation that occurs and some of these social emotional challenges that occur. And our partnership with Guidestone has been another value add to our repertoire of helping students navigate, school. And so we're continuing to utilize Guidestone. They have an office at the middle school now. We're continuing to work through staffing of that facility or that office and provide that service to our parents and community and our students. So any questions about the summer extended learning plan that Mr. Bernath worked on with the administrators?
And, I looked through it quickly, but you had mentioned that if we're going to focus on students that we identified as needing, some enrichment over the summer, if a parent feels like their student needs enrichment, can they request?
What we're going to ask them to do is contact the teacher and have the conversation with the teacher first. And that way it will get to us to kind of, assess, if there is, an issue that we need to address from a gap perspective. But I would suggest talking to the teacher first, and then working at the building level, and then we'll set everyone up for success moving into the summer.
Thanks.
That's a good point, Jan. I think, encouraging parents to work closely with teachers, because I've found that, there's so many special circumstances this year, but in every occasion when I've heard of people reaching out to the staff directly, there's been creative solutions that have come up, right? And this summer intervention might be just one more tool that could be used. So it's great that we've got the support and the funds to be able to make that happen.
Yes. The next thing that I'd like to share with you, Mr. Durst, in his Friday update to the high school, mentioned that there is a save the date for April 17th. We are moving forward with prom plans for our juniors and seniors. And so we are working to develop that plan and submit that to the Licking County Health Department for their review so that we can, have some type of, it's not going to look the same, but it is going to be a prom event. And it will be at the Brindle Fieldhouse. The Brindle Fieldhouse is actually set up very well to spread people out and have oversight on the balcony, which is kind of nice. So we're looking forward to being able to help our students experience that kind of rite of passage of prom. And so graduation. Last year, we had a drive-through graduation, and many of you participated in that process. It was wonderful, but we're going to be planning an outdoor graduation most likely, and working with the health department as well to kind of utilize our brand new stadium in a way that we've never had to utilize it before. So that will be a potential first. So good news is, prom and graduation are going to occur, and that's good news for our seniors who also have had quite an interesting 2 years. So any questions about prom or graduation?
I've heard a little bit of chatter about some of the, people speculating about what details about prom are going to be, but we can't really release anything until we get approval from
Correct.
the health department.
Yes.
So I would just say patience and hold tight until we get approval there. So
yeah, it's a process. It's not something that we can just do independently. There's a process that we need oversight from the health department, and Chad Brown has committed to making sure that he reviews all of our plans.
Jeff, what was the save the date on that you mentioned? I'm sorry.
April 17th.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The final item that I'd like to talk about is the 2021-2022 school year. We are knee deep in planning for next year already. We are, doing hiring and all of the things that we typically do to prepare for the next school year. Obviously, there are a lot of things that are still up in the air related to what types of layers of protection are going to be required. What can we do with transportation? How many students can we put in a classroom? All of those types of things are, still up in the air. I want to make sure that the board starts thinking about, the next year and where they're going to be comfortable, approving our plan moving forward. So just keep that in the back of your minds. Obviously, we want to try and create as much normalcy as possible while still maintaining a safe environment. I would like to make sure that I publicly state that I just would like to remind everyone that the governor's order for a mask mandate was something that was statewide. It was not Granville specific. And so, we do not have the authority to circumvent those orders that are given to us by the governor's office and the State Department or the Department of Health. But, we will continue to look at those mandates and those orders. And I'm anticipating, just like the governor's orders have started to pull back a little bit, I'm sure that will happen at the school level as well. And when we know, we'll communicate and just know that we're trying to create as much normalcy as possible, and we'll work within the confines and the guardrails that are established. So, but again, it's on everyone's minds. People are talking about it. People are sending me emails. I do not have a crystal ball as to what will happen. I know that last year it was somewhat frustrating because we were waiting on guidance from different entities before we could release what things would look like. We're hoping that happens a little bit earlier. But again, as Dr. Weigand, a very smart local doctor, said, no plan is written in pen. No COVID plan is written in pen. So, all of our plans are written in pencil, and we continue to adjust and be nimble as we go through this pandemic. So, any questions on next year?
Do you think you'll put together some kind of a committee or task force for the summer, or do you think it will simply come from guidance from the health department and working with the administrators at the school?
We will continue to utilize the task force, but we also have COVID committees established in each building of all the staff. And then we aggregate those COVID committees into a district COVID committee. So it will be a little bit more of a hybrid combination of the task force group and the COVID committees that are operating within the schools, working with the administration to, develop the plan. But I do anticipate being able to communicate sooner than we did last year, what school will look like. So parents and everyone have the opportunity to, move forward. But I would say that, there are some things that we're doing right now that are very challenging and difficult for the staff that, as soon as we can move away from, we want to. And those are things that, and then there are things that we've done that we want to keep in place because they've created efficiencies and they've been beneficial for all involved. So it's going to be an ongoing process to prepare for next year.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, any other questions about that and the COVID report? Okay, I am going to then bring up the board policy update. Okay, so as you know, the 134th General Assembly has, begun their work, and they are cranking out legislation left and right. And some of that was holdover from lame duck, but we wanted to, give you an update on some of the board policies that OSBA is recommending. So a couple of I would say 99% of these are really perfunctory. They're just revisions to dates or reference items. Some of them are policies that they're recommending we rescind. So I'll just kind of go through them quickly. Board organizational meeting is just a language change requiring us to meet within the first 15 days in January as an organizational body to create the board leadership. Very similar policy, just a language tweak. There has been a requirement for us to participate in a business advisory council. We participate with Licking County ESC. They are the body that organizes the BCAC for the entire county, and we participate in that. And we've been aligned with them for the past 3 years. Again, just a slight language change and the connection to the ESC. Superintendent contract language. This is not my contract. This is just in general language about superintendent's contracts. And specifically, the auditor of state said, if you are going to pay a superintendent for unused vacation time, it needs to be in board policy. It has been in our board policy, but we're codifying it now in this update. So it's something that we've been doing in practice, and now it's in policy. Emergency management and safety plans, emergency closing, all of those are just slight tweaks to who the reporting mechanism is and some of the language of the actual plans that have been tweaked through revisions. Sorry about that. Personnel policies and professional staff hiring, again, legal reference updates. A revision preschool program. We actually don't offer, we outsource our preschool program to Flying Colors through the ESC through a partnership. And that policy just kind of solidifies that. The other policies here are all related to some of the policy changes on the previous page. They're just duplicate references. And so it's nothing materially different in those policies. What I really want to get to is, as you remember with some of the coronavirus relief funds, there was a requirement for family medical leave expansion. So if someone was in quarantine or having to be at home because their children's school was closed, we were offering them additional days that were required by federal law. Now that law has been rescinded, or it has expired, and so they're recommending that we rescind that language from board policy. So I'm recommending that in the next reading, those board policies will be rescinded at that time. So those are the board policy changes that OSBA is referencing. Do you have any questions? I kind of went through that quickly. Okay, hearing none, I will go back to the board agenda. And that concludes our staff reports. And I do not have any public comment from any email. Let me pause and check with Glenn and Ryan to see if there are any public comments in the YouTube chat feature. Okay, no, none at this time. So Dr. Corman, we can move through.
To board discussion. We don't have any specific on the agenda, do we?
No.
No. So related to staff reports or other issues at this time, does anybody have something they would like to discuss?
I guess I have one question that didn't show up in the staff reports, and that's kind of a quick update relative to the development on River Road. I know there's been some activity there, and I wondered if you'd be willing to give us a quick update, because there's been some confusion in the community about whether that's moving forward or when or not, or what our position is and so forth. So if you could just give us a quick status update on the River Road annexation and changes for the variance of the development there.
So about 2 weeks ago, we were notified by David Rhodes, who is the Newark operations director, that that the developer had withdrawn their current proposal that was going through Newark planning. And so that initial plan and that development plan was withdrawn from consideration from Newark planning. They still could put together a plan and come forward without asking for variances. But at this point, that has not advanced. So at their current proposal that was on the table is now withdrawn. So that's obviously helpful to us in, consideration for that plan could have had a significant fiscal and facilities impact. We don't want to necessarily, wait for the next plan. So what we're trying to do is work collectively with the township, the village, Newark, and the schools to have continued conversations about that area and what might be done in order to help everyone involved, including the landowners. So I think we're in the process of trying to work collaboratively with our partners and find, maybe a third alternative that maybe hasn't been considered. And so we're hoping that we can maybe be creative in finding workable solutions moving forward with our partners. But it is a positive step that the previous development that was large scale has been withdrawn. Does that help, Thomas?
That does a lot. And I think we've taken the right path with that by basically just, quantifying exactly what the implications are of different developments. But I will say that this one, I think, opened a lot of eyes the potential threat that we have of increased enrollment, which is not necessarily a threat, but a reality of the fact that if we don't, intentionally understand and move forward to, embrace or figure out how the development should proceed within our community, it sort of will come to us anyway. So I think this has opened a lot of people's eyes, and I appreciate your continued ear to the ground on things, as well as your collaborative nature of working with the other community organizations for, quantifying what the plan could be to help, for those properties as well as others around the community, kind of help us understand, what the path forward would be and what the implications are for the schools. So that one was a big one, and it's interesting to hear that the developer has chosen to rescind their request, but I'm sure that's not the last request we'll hear from development in Granville. So I hope we could keep up the collaboration and work together toward it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Any other burning issues?
Nothing
I just
burning.
want-
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I just have been thinking a little bit about our return, how many people in the country do not have the option to have their kids in the building, and how we've been able to do both. And I'm also, with all the information on all the new things that teachers have done, and then the video from GES and how they kind of summed up the year, I was wondering if there's a way, and I'm definitely not trying to create any more work for anyone, but if there's any way any of this is being archived for people in the future, for just for knowledge for other districts. I don't know exactly where or how, but it just seems important that, that other people see this, or that the community kind of remembers how much was done and how lucky and how fortunate we've been to be in this community with all these people working so hard for our kids. And for us, I mean, it's not just the kids that are benefiting, right? The whole community is benefiting. If our kids are in school, people can go to work. And so I just am wondering if that's something that can happen.
So it's funny that you said, so I mentioned my Rotary presentation earlier today. And so part of that presentation was me reflecting on the year and kind of articulating all of the nuances as things have evolved. And I had the exact same thoughts, Cecile. I had the kind of that aha moment of, wow, we really should capture this in thinking about, telling the story of how we've been resilient through, this pandemic, and through thoughtful collaboration and partnerships, provided opportunities that haven't necessarily been provided in other communities. And we feel very lucky that we've been able to do that. And I have to tell you, I mean, I probably, now that it's been mentioned, I'll put the video, the GES video, on our website. It is absolutely phenomenal. Mr. Morris, wow. The whole team, fantastic. It was just a great example of the positive attitude and the work that's been done in order to, as you have so eloquently captured, had the opportunity to do. And so this is great. So yes, I think we will do some of that. We've been doing an activity in the buildings called the Keeper activity, which is kind of thinking about what do we want to keep in place that we've learned, whether it's an instructional strategy, a utilization of a tool, like Zoom. I mean, I get it. A lot of us want to not have as many Zoom meetings, but it is a very effective tool for collaboration, and it has a lot of implications for learning. So in what ways can that be utilized and leveraged? I shared before, everyone universally said, hey, Zoom is a great tool for parent-teacher conferences. Parents can sit in the comfort of their home, and teachers can also, keep a really accurate schedule through the process. So, and not have long lines in the building. So things like that can continue to benefit everyone. So I think there's a great story to be told, and I'll think about ways that we can maybe capture that information for posterity.
That's great. Yeah. Great. Anything else? No? Okay, well then let's move on to the action agenda.
Okay, our first item is the creation of a new supplemental and approval of the job description for athletic coordinators.
So moved.
Second.
So Thomas and Fred, thank you. And so let me just provide a little bit of an explanation on this item. So last year when we received the news that our state aid was going to be cut, we wanted to prioritize the classroom teaching positions. So one of the people that we've had in a dean position for several years was reallocated to a classroom position to try and lower class sizes. And that dean position was also helping utilize, or we were using that position for middle school athletics and the coordination of middle school athletics. Yeah, obviously, Josh Duvall has come in as our athletic director and had a tremendous impact on the athletic programs in Granville schools. He's done a phenomenal job. And what we're trying to do is set him up for success and not burn him out, so that we have the ability for him to kind of have oversight 7 through 12 on all of the school-sponsored sports, but have more logistical support and planning support in each season through a supplemental for an athletic coordinator that would do, site prep, scheduling work, overseeing of tickets, and just the things that go into pulling off athletic events. One of the big challenges for Josh is he can't be in multiple places at the same time. None of us can. So you can do 2 Zoom meetings at the same time. I have perfected that, but you can't be in 2 physical locations at the same time. So we are trying to create some support in each season for that athletic coordinator role, and doing it in a way that's cost effective, and not adding another administrator to the roles.
It's a lot of, yes, managing these things is a lot of work. So I can see the need for this position each season. So
The number of sports we have in both the high school and the middle school, I think this is really important to have this kind of coverage. And it's not middle school focused necessarily, as our previous dean role was. It's going to be under the direction of the athletic director to cover whichever sports are requiring the support at the time.
Their primary responsibility will be middle school, but it is going to impact the 9-12 environment in a positive way as well.
Great, thanks.
Is this in lieu or in addition to site managers, or is this?
It is
Explain that a little more.
In addition to.
Okay. So
It's
like
like-
site manager just to worry about the site.
Right.
So
Exactly.
this person is kind of,
Think of it as site manager, athletic coordinator, athletic director.
great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
any other questions? All right, take the roll, please.
Mr. Miller,
Aye.
Mr. Wolf,
Aye.
Miss Deeds,
Aye.
Miss Shaw,
Aye.
Dr. Cornman.
Aye.
Thank you. The next item is our consent agenda 10.01A through C9.
So moved.
Second.
All right, that was Cecile. So Thomas and Cecile. All right, so I'd like to call attention, last month, Mr. Wolf gave a report on the Granville Education Foundation grants. Those are now being accepted as donations that are referenced here. He did a great job of explaining those last month. Last month, we also approved the Mike Curian Memorial Fund, and now donations are coming in to that fund now that it's been established. The other thing that I'd like to call your attention to is every single year we go through a process of non-renewing all of our supplemental contracts. They're one-year contracts. So we go through the process of hiring them every year and then non-renewing them so that there's a beginning and end to that contract. So March is the timeframe where we do the mass non-renewal. And then we then quickly turn around and start rehiring people for the next year of service. So that's that process. And then the only other thing that I'd like to call your attention to is we do have a resignation of one of our GHS chemistry teachers. And I just wanted to recognize Brian's service to Granville schools for the past several years. And we will certainly miss him, but he will be finishing this school year and then moving on. So definitely with appreciation of service.
Quick question about the non-renewals, the non-renewal, right?
Yes.
Does that include like spring term?
No. So
Okay.
it's worded in such that it's at the end of their contract year. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Thanks.
Yes, you're welcome.
Any other questions or comments about the consent agenda? All right, take the roll, please.
Mr. Miller,
Aye.
Ms. Shaw,
Aye.
Ms. Deeds,
Aye.
Mr. Wolf,
Aye.
Dr. Cornman.
Aye.
Thank you.
You're like a pro going through those names already.
Hey, I'm on fire, man.
That's
I'll
right.
Hey,
Okay,
I'll,
now
I'll
that
get
it's-
I'll get everyone's voices down by the end of this meeting.
We're almost there.
Close.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. So on to finances.
So 11.01, the approval of the monthly financial report.
So moved.
Second.
Thomas and Cecile. Any other additional questions?
No, Todd, just a quick thanks. There's a lot of little nuances of things with the athletic project and, last year and moving to our new accounting system and so forth, right? And here on day one, I think you've done a great job of picking that up and moving it forward. And I know it's because you've done a lot of preparation with Brittany over the last months. And, we came up with this scheme for you to help us out. We're really glad to have you here. And I know, having you with us this month on a more regular basis to kind of watch over our shoulder and crank through the numbers and things like that is sincerely appreciated. So thanks to your district home and thanks to all you're doing to make that happen. It looked great.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, please take the roll.
Okay, Mr. Miller,
Aye.
Ms. Shaw,
Aye.
Ms. Deeds,
Aye.
Mr. Wolf,
Aye.
Dr. Cornman.
And now we will entertain a motion to adjourn. Nobody?
So moved.
Thank you, Fred. Need a second?
Second.
Thank you. Take the roll, please.
Mr. Wolf,
Aye.
Mr. Miller,
Aye.
Ms. Deeds,
Aye.
Ms. Shaw,
Aye.
Dr. Cornman.
Aye. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank
Have a
you
good
very
evening.
much, everyone.
Yep.
Thank you. Glad you're doing better, Thomas.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Take care.
Aye.
Everybody have a good night. Thanks.
Good night.
Aye.
Thank you.